So you want to know why everybody's talking about Green Grass Running Water by Thomas King, right?
Yeah, it seems like a pretty significant book.
Right, and you want to understand what the fuss is all about.
Yeah, but maybe without having to wade through like a ton of academic analysis, you know?
Exactly.
Just get to the good stuff.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into this together.
Okay.
You've shared some excerpts from a really interesting review with us, and our mission today is basically to break those down,
Okay.
extract those key insights, and see what makes this novel tick,
Cool.
what makes it so special.
Sounds good.
So right off the bat, what really struck me in this review was how King manages to weave together all these seemingly different storylines.
Yeah, it's really striking, right?
You've got the present day experiences of those four elderly Native American men living in Blossom.
Yeah, and you've got that kind of folkloric element with Coyote and the old woman, you know, those trickster figures.
Totally. And then you've got these echoes of classic Western narratives that we're all familiar with. And the reviewer really emphasizes how seamlessly King blends these threads together.
He makes it look easy.
Right. It's like a magic trick almost.
Yeah, you wonder how he pulls it off.
Yeah. How does he make it feel so natural and engaging at the same time?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It's like he's juggling with really complex ideas and somehow making it look effortless.
Exactly. And one of the things that the review points to is the humor.
Oh, yeah, the humor.
The way that King uses humor to bring all these elements together.
It's not just silly jokes, though, right?
No, it's sharp. It's insightful.
Right. Like the reviewer talks about these satirical moments where King pokes fun at historical encounters between Western culture and the indigenous cultures. And it's not just about making you laugh. It's about revealing the absurdity of those situations.
Exactly. He uses humor to get at something deeper.
And it's done in a way that's really smart and thought-provoking.
The reviewer describes it as humor that cuts to the bone without being bitter.
Right. So it's not mean-spirited.
No, it's more like he's using humor as a way to kind of make you think critically about these interactions.
So it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Yeah, exactly. The humor makes it easier to engage with these potentially difficult topics.
Right. It makes you think without making you feel like you're being lectured to.
And that's one of the things that's so brilliant about King's writing.
It's entertaining and insightful at the same time.
It really is, and I think that ties into the broader point that the reviewer makes about the cultural commentary.
Right, because it's not just jokes for the sake of jokes, right?
No, the humor is a tool
Okay.
for exploring these really important themes like identity, tradition, the clash of those different worldviews.
Okay, so it's like he's using these interwoven stories and the humor to make these bigger points about culture and history.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how he does it in a way that's subtle and thought-provoking.
Right, he doesn't hit you over the head with it.
No, he makes you think, he makes you question those dominant narratives that we often take for granted.
Like those stories that we've always been told.
And sometimes a well-placed joke can expose the flaws in those stories more effectively than a straight-faced lecture.
So it's like he's sneaking in these really powerful ideas under the guise of entertainment.
Exactly. And I think that leads us to another key aspect that the review highlights.
What's that?
The whole idea of blending myth and reality.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
It seems like King deliberately blurs the lines between these ancient myths and legends and the everyday lives of his characters in Blossom.
Like it's not always clear what's real and what's part of the story.
Right, and the review suggests that this blurring is really central to the novel's impact.
It makes you question what you believe, right?
Exactly. It makes you think about how our understanding of what's real is often shaped by the stories that we've been told.
It's like he's saying that reality is fluid.
And that storytelling has the power to shape our perceptions of that reality.
Right, and it makes me wonder about those characters in Blossom.
Yeah, those four old men Coyote.
Do they represent these mythical figures, or are they just regular people dealing with regular life?
Maybe a bit of both.
Right, and that's what makes it so interesting.
The reviewer definitely points to the characters as being one of the novel's strengths.
Yeah, they're described as being really rich, complex, and memorable.
Yeah, you get invested in their lives even though you're not always sure where their stories fit into the bigger picture.
It's like a puzzle.
And the way that King puts that puzzle together is masterful.
The review does mention that the non-linear narrative could be a little challenging for some readers at first.
Yeah, it jumps around in time and perspective.
But ultimately, it's seen as one of the novel's strengths.
Right, it's not a straightforward story.
It adds depth and complexity.
It makes you work a little bit, but the payoff is worth it.
It's like you're getting different angles on the same story.
Yeah, and you have to piece it all together yourself.
And speaking of challenging, the review also touches on the cultural nuances in the novel.
Yeah, there are definitely some references that might require a little bit of background knowledge.
But overall, the storytelling remains accessible, even if you're not familiar with all the specifics.
Right, King's writing is engaging and thought-provoking regardless of your cultural background.
So it's like a universal story with specific cultural elements woven in.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so powerful.
It's a story that can speak to everyone on some level.
Yeah, even while it's deeply rooted in a specific cultural context.
Okay, so if we had to sum it all up, what's the big takeaway here?
What's the core significance of green grass running water, according to this review?
Yeah,
Well, it seems like this novel is being hailed as a masterpiece.
okay.
A really significant work that's both entertaining and profoundly insightful.
And why is that?
Well, the reviewer points to several reasons. The way that King uses humor to offer a unique perspective on culture and history, the way that he blends myth and reality to challenge our perceptions, and the way that he creates these incredibly compelling and memorable characters.
So it's like a multi-layered experience.
Exactly. It's a story that works on so many different levels.
And ultimately, it's a story that makes you think.
Yeah, it encourages us to examine those stories that we tell ourselves and those stories that are imposed upon us.
To question those narratives that shape our understanding of the world.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message.
So we've got King's masterful storytelling, right?
Yeah.
His use of humor as this tool for cultural critique.
Mm-hmm.
And his really skillful blending of myth and reality to challenge our perceptions.
Yeah, those are definitely some of the key takeaways.
And it makes me think about like all the different kinds of stories that we encounter in our lives, right?
Yeah, the stories that we read, the stories that we hear, the stories that we tell ourselves.
And how those stories shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
And how those stories might change if we viewed them through a different lens.
Right? What if we considered those seemingly fixed narratives from a different perspective?
A different cultural tradition.
Exactly. Like, how would that change the way we understand them? How would that change the way we tell those stories?
That's a really interesting question to think about.
Food for thought.
Definitely.
It's like King is giving us this invitation to be more critical, more aware of the power of storytelling.
And to be more open to different ways of seeing the world.
To challenge those dominant narratives and to maybe even create our own.
I think that's a great place to leave it.
Yeah, that's Green Grass Running Water by Thomas King, everybody.
I must read.
Go check it out.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.